In this question, we're going to specifically talk about present value. But before we get into this information, we're going to do a little distinction, and we're going to try to figure out, or hopefully I can explain, the difference between future and present. In a future value, I want you to kind of think of this like a timeline. Okay? This is our start, and this is our start. In our timeline, we're investing money if we're in future value. We're constantly putting an amount in, okay? So we'll use this arrow for in, and we're putting money in. We put money in over and over again. And at the end of everything, we're left with an amount, which means in the future, how much money will we have? In a present value example, and I'll use double money symbols to say that's the end of it, or the large amount. In the present value, we start with an amount of money, and we're withdrawing money, okay? We constantly take money out of this account until we get to the end. And at the end, how much money will be left in this account? Zero, okay? There are $0 left at the end of this account. At the beginning of the future value, technically, what did we start with? Zero. We had no money in the bank. Okay? So, yes, exactly. Started from the bottom. So, we had zero, and we constantly invested money until we got to our future amount. In the present value, we have a large amount of money, and we're withdrawing that money until the account is empty. Okay? So, in this question, we won the lottery. We have $1 million right now, and we want to live off of this money. So, is that present or future? Present. I have all that money right now, and I'm just going to live off of it for 25 years. So, our $1 million goes into which of these categories? PV, that's right. Our present value will be $1 million. Okay? What is our interest rate? 4.5. 4.5. Okay. What is our future value if our present value is $1 million? That's right. We're not dealing with future value, so we'll put in 0. Compounded annually, what does that mean? Once a year. So our compound period is 1, and our payment period is 1. Okay? So at the end of every year, whoever you are with your $1 million, you're going to get this amount at the end of every year. The last thing we have to figure out is our N. And how did you get that? Yeah, because it's once a year, we do 1 times 25. If 1 had been a different number, it wouldn't equal 25. But in this case, it's just the value of 25. So what are we trying to solve for? PMT. Yeah, we're trying to figure out, and what does this mean, this PMT? This is how much you're getting paid every single year. So it'll write it as a negative value because you're withdrawing that money in the account on your calculator. But what is the value they give you when you solve for this? What are our payments? How much are you getting every year? $22,489. Okay. Now you'll notice on your accounts. Yeah, I didn't think it was 22. I'm pretty sure it's 60. Yeah, that's right. 67, 439. Perfect. So we have our 67. So every year, at the end of the year, this guy gets $67,000. Can you live off $67,000?
Yes, you could.
I can. I can live off $67,000, no problem. Okay, so right now this guy can essentially live a probably relatively normal life off this amount of money without having to work. Let's figure out how much interest he gets over the life of it. So how do we figure out the interest? Well, how do we figure out how much money he actually got in the end, in total? Yeah, we got to take this 25 and multiply it by his yearly payments. So you'll have to read me that number again. 67,000. Okay, times 0.02, Lucas, is it? Thank you. I want every cent. I don't want the bank taking any money from me. Say the hundreds again? Is that right, that amount? 685. Perfect. Great. So, And this one's a little easier to calculate the interest on. Over the life of 25 years, this guy actually got paid $1.6 million. But how much did he originally put in the bank? He'd only put in $1 million. So, how much interest did this guy earn? This guy almost earns close to, not yet, $700,000. So $685,000, so about $686. So over 25 years, he earns almost $700,000 in interest by investing his money instead of going to the casino that Patrick was going to go to.